Good morning and welcome to this video. Uh, in the last videos, we saw Python, we saw an overview of Python. I presented in Jupyter Notebook, and we equally saw operations on Python and data type. Now, this video is an extension of the video on data type because I talked to you in the data type about lists, and there are many operations that you can perform on list or on sequence data type, which I'm going to present in this video. So in this video we're going to look at indexing and slicing. What does indexing refer? Generally, indexing is used when you want to select particular element from a sequence data type, and slicing is used when you want to just copy bunch of element in a sequence data type. So indexing and slicing are very powerful techniques for accessing and manipulating elements within data structures in Python. Now, as I said, they are used for sequence element. Let's take for example the data type fruit. Of course, we already saw in the previous video that this data type has for sorry this data type has for class or type list. If I try to type type of fruit, of course it's list. Now, if I want to select the first element of the list, what will I do? In Python, indexing starts at 0, which means that the first element of a sequence has for index 0, and the last element has for index n minus 1, where n is the length of the list. So let's consider this following command: print fruit 0. Of course, if you follow the video, you will see that this is supposed to print apple. Now, what about the next one? I encourage you to pause the video and guess, but I believe you know it's supposed to print fruit. One is supposed to print banana, and fruit 2 is supposed to print orange. Let's run the command and let's run the cell and see if we got the result right. Of course, you have banana, apple, and orange. Now, there's also what we call negative indexing in Python. What is negative indexing? Negative indexing allows to access elements from the end of a sequence. In the negative indexing, negative 1 refers to the last element, negative 2 to the second to the last element, and so on and so on. Which means if you consider again our list fruit, the last element is mango, so its index is negative 1. Kiwi index is negative 2, and orange index is negative 3. Of course, you could have guessed if I print this, I'll have mango for the first element, I will have kiwi here, and here I will have orange. Let's try to run. Yes, of course it is. So this is all about indexing in Python. So you have to remember that this is going to be very useful when you are going to move forward to conditionals and loops. It's going to be very useful in order to know how to use indexing. Now we move up to slicing. What's slicing? Slicing allows you to extract a portion or a subset of element from a sequence. The syntax for slicing is start, like when we open the square braces, you define where you want to start to slice, you define where you want to end the slicing, and you define the steps. Now, Let's consider again our fruit. Oh, sorry, I've already put the answers here. Now, fruit 1 3 it means you take from the first element to the third element. Means sorry, we take from element of index 1 to element of index 3. But there's something that you have to know in index in Python. In Python, when you are using square braces for indexing, or let me say for slicing, the last element of the slice will not be considered. What do I mean by that? Here, for example, is this fruit, you choose fruit from 1 to 3, right? But if you want to print, the print function will only, this slicing will only consider the element of index 1, which is banana, and the element of index 2, which is orange. I will not consider the third element, which is kiwi. So it will always stops before this index, which is 3. Let me copy this and hold it in a different cell. Let me cut and paste it here. Yes, you see, as I mentioned, it choose the element with index 1 and element with index 2 and stop there. So it doesn't consider the element of index 3. So if you want to include the element of index 3, you have to go up to from 1 to 4 before you will consider element of index 3. Now let's continue. If for example you want to select element in a list after a certain number of steps, you define it as follow. This list, for example, you say you want from the element of index 1, which is banana, to the element of index 4, which is mango, and each time you take after 2 steps. 2 steps means you will skip one and take the one that follows, skip one and take the one that follows. So if you follow that logic, banana is the first element, and when you say 2 steps, you skip this one, you will jump out to kiwi and take kiwi. Now if you run the cell, now what happens if you define the steps to be 1? Let me take this and print. Of course, if I take the steps to be 1, I'm sure you would have guessed it will print banana, then it will print orange. Sorry for the, I should have made the code, and it will print kiwi. Let's run it and see. Yes. So if it says, if it doesn't need to mention skip one step because it's done by default. Now let's go to the next part of the lesson, omitting slicing parameters. What happens when you don't state the slicing parameters, like the ends and or the start? If you don't mention the start, you will start from the beginning, that is from the first element, which is index 0. For example, they say print fruits from nothing, which is index 0 to index 2. So it takes from apple and banana, then skip orange because orange is index 2. Remember, it always stops one index before the last. So normally what is supposed to print here is apple and banana. Now here, for example, is the contrary. You define the first element has to be taken, and you say you don't define the last element. This will do. What will this one do? It will take from the element of index 2 till the end of the list. That is all the elements that are from index 2 to the end. And here, what do we have? The element of index 2 is orange, and then we have kiwi, followed by mango. So this is what will be printed. Now here you don't define the first element, you don't define the last element, but you say it has to skip you have to take 2 steps. What will it do? It will go all through the element of the list, taking each element and jumping one step. So what will you print here? Obviously we'll print apple, then it will print orange, and last it will print mango. If you run the cell, of course, yes. Now you can also modify element using a data structure using index and slicing. Let's for example we have the list or list which equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 0. I run it. If you want to modify an element in this list, what will you do? You call the list with its index. Let's say for example you want to modify 7. 7 is at position 7, so its index is 6. If you print it, of course, you have 7. Now, if you want to modify 7 and take and replace it, for example, by let's say 12, you will call 7 by the index in it, and you will give the value you want to give it, which is 12. If you run and we reprint the list, so and reprint list, we have, of course, now we don't have 7 anymore, we have 12. And this is also the same with slicing. If you, for example, want to replace element from 8 to 9, call list, open the square bracket. Now, what is the first element you want to replace? You want to replace is 8, and 8 is at index 7. And we want to go to the last element, which is 0, so it doesn't define the last index. And remember that all these are lists. Now remember that these are 3 elements you have to replace. So if you want to replace them, you also have to give 3 elements. For example, let's say 11, 13, 11, 14, and any number 24. We run it. Of course, if you print list again, what do we have? Now you don't have again this element, we have 11, 14 and 24.